what's up? So this is Ishii's plane from my favorite anime, Girls Last Tour. I'd say it's about a 50% scale up from the original version. So yeah, this thing actually works. It works decently well. It's not really an ideal plane for Minecraft flight. It's not that maneuverable in the air, but it does fly pretty nicely. And for the purposes for it was built, this version would definitely still work. So Ishii designed this plane to optimize for flight distance. So the idea was to be able to fly as far as she can to a neighboring city. And that's why it has this tank on the bottom, an extra fuel tank. On this version, this is actually the only fuel tank because I couldn't fit one inside, but she had an extra fuel tank on it. And that's also why the wings are so long. The wingspan is actually wider than the actual length of the whole plane. And I actually tried to keep with that philosophy. So I made mine with a range that's actually more than twice as long as what she says hers is. So let me show you the internals. Ignore these. I have another version over here with all the copycats empty, so you can see what's inside. So as I said, there's only the one fuel tank, and this feeds through this copycat pipe up into just a single diesel engine. So that's why it's so efficient. It just uses one diesel engine, and I made sure to really manage the speeds, the rotation speeds of everything, so that this one diesel engine has enough stress units to power the whole thing. So yeah, about the range. In the anime and manga, Ishii says that her plane can fly about 2,000 kilometers. With my fuel tank, I can hold 144 buckets, and my single diesel engine burns 1 millibucket per second, and the plane flies at around 30 meters per second. And so if you multiply it all together, my plane has a range of 4,320 kilometers. So that's more than twice hers, despite having theoretically half the fuel. Although it's not really fair because mine is like 50% bigger. So the diesel engine sends its power forwards through here. And here's the first speed reduction. So this is a redstone transmission from the propulsion mod. You can see there's a lever, analog lever on the bottom here. So that slows down the rotation down to something like 12 RPM. So then it comes forward here and splits into above and below. The top part goes into a directional gear shift, which controls the ailerons here. Now on Ishii's actual plane, she has separate ailerons and flaps. They also have a little bit more functionality than this. You can see at the beginning of her flight, she has both sides down like this to give her more lift. I couldn't fit that functionality into my design. So these are just, the flaps and the ailerons are just moving together. And the way I did that was by connecting this side with this side using some string. So you can see how I glued this flap to the string to this flap. So that it doesn't move this part in between, but they can still be connected. All right, but then this power comes down here and goes into a rotation speed controller. And this is set to 128. And that's because I have, the big cog on the top, and that spins this little cog in the chain cogwheel. And so that speeds it up from the big cog to little cog to 256. So then that power comes back down and goes into the propeller. Then before that, going straight through the speed controller, we have a clutch that powers the landing gear. Now this landing gear is a little bit special because you see it's flared out like this, but then it also rotates in to line up. So you can see how when I retract it, it comes in and it becomes flush, or not entirely flush, but parallel with the main body. But when it's out, it's flared out. See that? And the way I did that is by having a swivel bearing. So that sets this angle here. But then it sends power through the swivel bearing into a gearbox, into the mechanical bearing. And this is what actually retracts and sends it out. And I wish it could be a little bit more compact than this, but I still think it's really cool the way it comes in. And then the cockpit just has a trapdoor on the top. The actual version is supposed to have this whole thing be sliding, go back and forth, but there's not really a good way to do that in Aeronautics, so I just did a trapdoor on top. So you just get in, close trapdoor, and you have your typewriter here, and then I just put a gimbal sensor just to simulate some sort of flight instruments. So yeah, then going back from the engine, first of all, it's powering the pump, but then it goes into another speed controller here, this redstone transmission, which slows it down. And again, that's to save a lot of stress units so that I can power the whole thing with just the one engine. So it goes back, slows down, splits again into top and bottom here. The bottom part goes into this spring, which powers the elevators on the back. And then above, it goes into this spring, which powers this, which is the rudder. So most planes I build don't actually have a rudder, but this is just to let you yaw left and right. So you can directly turn left and right like that using this. However, with just 8 sail blocks like this, it's a really, really weak rudder, so it turns very, very slowly if you try to turn with this. Something interesting with this rudder as well is that if you try to just build it like this, the actual turnable rudder part will connect to the rest of the tail, and it'll just turn the whole tail. That might actually be better for control, but it didn't look realistic the way it's supposed to look. So the way I made it separate was I just broke all the blocks around it and then turned it to assemble the contraption and then put them all back. So if this ever gets disassembled, if I right click this right now, it'll connect to the rest, and then the next time I try to fly it, it'll turn the whole tail. So it's not very schematic friendly. And there are also some hidden red zone controls right here. It's just because this is the only place I could really find to fit them. This is so that you can turn on and off with the toggle latch. You can turn the engine on and off here. And then this is to open and retract the landing gear. And then this redstone link connects to this one, which is on the clutch for the landing gear. It's a pretty simple build. Plane works decently well, but it's not really meant for a Minecraft plane. I think I did a pretty decent job recreating Ishii's plane. Yeah, by the way, you see the wings like turning invisible sometimes. I'm completely zoomed in, like I can't zoom in any farther, but it's like still out of render distance because the wings are just so long. And here you can see how slowly it turns using the rudder. It's so slow. Let's look at that landing gear retracting. Oh yeah, so cool. And this is what it looks like from the cockpit. It's definitely flyable from here. Yeah, that's it for this video. It's a pretty short one. Just wanted to show you this cool replica I made. So if you liked that, please like and subscribe, and thanks for watching. See ya.